Welcome back to another TSTerra Plays Tera video. Today's video is going to be a continuation of yesterday's video. So once you finally hit level 65, I'm going to explain what you have to do in the game to continue your progress of Tera. Now do understand, in most people's opinion, 65 is actually when Tera picks up and is kind of a completely different video game. But what the devs have done is they changed a bit, and at first I recorded a video for this. I actually recorded part 1 and part 2 together, trying to keep it short and sweet, and I decided after learning stuff, like I said, video 1 or part 1 I mentioned Matey's name. Matey actually taught me some things that I want to include in part 2 that are going to be really important to your journey on Tera once you hit 65. Because so much has changed and because the devs did something terrible, I will even show it on screen when we get to that point. But usually once you're 65, there will be a man right around here named Dougal that will give you your gear. Now do understand, your gear is going to be Stormcry to start off with. Again, if you're a returning player, this might not be an issue. You might have higher than Stormcry gear, and you might not run into this issue that new players are going to kind of run into, or potentially someone who's making a new character. A huge issue is you get Stormcry gear, but you only get a carving Stormcry necklace along with the Stormcry brooch and circlets. You're missing out on your earrings and rings. Now, if you've been leveling from 0 to 65, you might not have this issue when you go into Vanguards and see nothing under dungeons. You may actually see dungeons. You may see some solo BAMs that are not these that you can kill, that can help you farm your Stormcry jewelry that you want. But if you make a character from like new, level it with a 65 scroll, don't do the leveling, you may get stuck in this issue with the fact that you have only level 45 and 29 earring and rings. Again, if you've been leveling from 0, you'll probably have the ring and earrings from Sabex or potentially from Catacombs. And that should be enough to actually bring your item level up so that you can do your Vanguards and do your dungeons to come over to anywhere in the world and get your, once you farm enough credits, of course, you can just buy these. Again, I hope the devs fix this, because these not being given is kind of trash. I think it's a terrible decision the devs made. I don't think it's intentional. I think they effed up, because usually you would get, a full set of carving, a full set of pumped, and now you're only given a carving necklace, which for at least the Valks, Warriors, and Reapers is trash, because these classes don't even really need to use carving. Maybe Warriors do a bit when starting off, but Valks and Reapers do not use carving at all. And so the fact that you're not even given a pump necklace is pretty bad. But there's a way to resolve this. And yes, there's actually a few ways to resolve it. The first one is, well, obviously run Sabex, run Catacombs, and you can get the jewelry that way. The second way to solve it, which is much longer, is killing these BAMs. Now, if you kill like the Pirate or Grotto and you have Elite, you get 240 doubled, so I would get 480 if I finished that Vanguard, which 480 would be enough, almost enough, to get me 1 jewelry. So if I did, maybe 5 of those, might be close enough for me to at least buy 4 more pieces, and then I'm set to go. Now, if you don't want to do those, again, there are other BAMs that you could do down the road that will give you much more Vanguard credit, and I'll show those once those are unlocked for this character. So now we're gonna speed through. Actually, I'm gonna go over the third way of getting the jewelry. If you don't want to run the dungeons, and let's say, like, obviously you level character to 65, you know, you haven't run catacombs, you haven't run Savex, you don't have the lower tier jewelry that should unlock the higher Vanguard. This is where Matey came in clutch, because Matey mentioned the Amdrak trading post, which is where I teleported to, and you could come down here where there's all of these BAMs. Now it might take a bit of time, but you can go through and kill these guys, and you will get the jewelry. So from here I'm gonna kind of speed through, and yeah, until we get the jewelry. Okay, so now after just a few minutes, like I said, I've sped that up as well. We have gotten a few rings, you only need 2, and we've gotten 2 earrings. So once I put one of those on, that brings us actually all the way to 450. So now I could come to Vanguards, and you can see we finally have Ravenous Gorge. From this point, this is where you could just farm Ravenous Gorge. Again, you won't get a ton of credits, but you'll start earning things like the Aron Stone, the Shara Stone, which will bring your item level up even more, along with other good rewards. The other Vanguards. Alright, so the next thing is I'm gonna apply another. That brings us up again. Now we're at 461. We can check here. We have even more rewards now that have unlocked. And that is where you can fight the Fang Spawns, the Fimbulus, and the Bloodhound Terralifts. This is what I would suggest for a new player to farm. As you can see, the Vanguard credits is 600. So once you get 2 of those jewelries from those mobs, you can go do, technically this, I think, 600 4 times, and that gets you 4 of your Stormcry accessories. If you have Elite, you do it twice because the Vanguard doubles up to 1200, so then you're at 24. From there, you do this twice, you do Ravenous Gorge once, and by doing that combination of 2 and 1, you can buy all of your accessories. That way, even if you want to swap out the necklace you were given, you can end up swapping out that necklace, the carving with the pounding, and now you have a full set of jewelry. You don't have to worry about the other stuff. By doing the Ravenous Gorge, what it does is when you complete it, you get an extra 2, extra 2 of these tokens. I think it's the lower ones actually. You get an extra 2 of these Ellen coins that if you're a returning or new player, I really recommend grabbing 4 of those as soon as you can to come over here and buy all of the event gear. Because right now in the game there's this event growth gear. That gear is going to be a lot easier leveling than your Stormcry gear. It's going to cost a lot less gold, it's going to cost less gems, it costs less materials. The nice thing is, most of the materials that's required for Stormcry is not really required for that. You know, yes, they share gold, but the gold on those is going to be a lot cheaper until you get towards the end. The gems are a lot cheaper. Yes, Stormcry needs... actually, it might not be Stormcry. Stormcry might not need gems anymore. But eventually your, Stormcry, Fraxum, Kaya's Annihilation gear is going to need gems, plates, all of that stuff, which that gear doesn't require as much of. Now, you can level both, and I do recommend if you play enough to level both, because that is going to allow you to, keep your gear. The event gear is going to be dismantleable at some point for some sort of resource that goes back into your character. So if you're only gearing that gear, when the event's over, you won't be able to use it anymore. Then you're stuck with Stormcry, and then you're going to have to push your Stormcry gear up to play the game again. So I do recommend enchanting all of your Stormcry gear. The next thing is I'm going to put in both of these to see. That brings us all the way to 476. I have not unlocked that. Because the other thing you're going to want to do as soon as you can is complete the Awakening quest. Which, from what it seems, you probably need full Stormcry to unlock that quest line. So, again, we're going to speed through. I'm going to go kill some of those BAMs real quick to get my Stormcry accessories and see if it will let me do the Awakening quest, because that's also a very important quest line. Again, even more so leading to complete your complete these real quick. So I'm gonna go do it. I'll speed through and see you in just a bit. Alright, so now that I have completed 2 of those vanguards, again, I have elite. This is a character I don't care about, so I'm not gonna get the pumped. I just want to show what changes in the game once you have that 4 extra pieces of Stormcry jewelry. Like I said, I only completed 2 of these. I did the Tera list. I think you could do any 3 of them if you want to do the Fang Balls, the Fimber list, whichever ones you want to do. As long as you have elite, completing 2 will be enough to get you started. If you don't have elite, you're gonna have to do it 4 times, and it's just killing BAMs on IOD. You can teleport there, but I'm gonna purchase 2 of these, and I'm gonna purchase 2 of these. That way the character is kind of set up for if I ever do want to play the character. You will have to set up your roles. Again, the roles that I'm putting on this character, I advise players to not just take what I do unless it's an actual guide. I do plan to be releasing character guides for each character soon, but I'm kind of just picking roles real quick just to show that now that we're full Stormcry and we have everything that the game offers, this is the base starting. Don't forget, put your crystals in. I tried to kill the BAMs without them. It took much longer. Then I put crystals in. You should have crystals over here. You should have crystals for all of this stuff. And you can get all of that by completing those vanguards and buying your crystals here. So that's another thing when you're starting out. You might want to do a few extra set of BAMs on your day 1 of 65, just so you can buy all the crystals you need from watching a character guide or reading. Reading's very important. So yeah, overall, you're just going to want to farm out dungeons and vanguards at this point to level up your gear until you can get, all your stuff up and keep farming even more dungeons. Again, take your dungeon core tokens over here. Once you get 10, I highly recommend getting the silk underwear. 2023, that will increase your item level even more. Turn your tokens in for gold if you need. Fluorite craze, do not get this. You will get plenty Stormcry stuff by running your dungeons. And then again, once you're the next level, you can get this to get some mounts, to get more of these. I would never buy the oath, but the gold from these is gonna help you get through your enchants along with the resources, the fluorite. So yeah, once you're 65, that's really all you gotta do, is make sure you attach your crystals, make sure you attach, materials you get from the dungeons, and that's it. As 65, the game is now running dungeons, instance matchmaking, basically running Ravenous Gorge over and over again. Get those Auron and Shara stones equipped and get that item level up so that you can run harder and harder content. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me in the comment section. I'll do my best to answer them as quickly as I can. And yeah, if you like this content, feel free to subscribe. Consider hitting notifications to see future content. Like I said, over the course of the next month, after these two, kind of welcoming new and veteran players to the game, or veteran players that are coming back, things that are majorly different. You don't have to grind your glyphs, you just want to get your item level up, complete that awakening quest, and start running dungeons. It's changed a bit. It is not as friendly, but it's still kind of friendly in other areas. Yeah, ask away, and then be on the lookout for those player or class guides soon. Alright, see y'all.